Ladies, good
Hello,
morning, I
Chris.
guess, right? It's morning there, correct?
It is morning. It's actually 6:01 a.m. in the morning here.
Very early. It is just what, 4 p.m. my time, I think.
I
Which,
know.
yeah, is this something you do on early as you're doing it right now, or is it just to
Oh,
accommodate the time
yes.
difference?
It's just the time difference. We're on the other side of the world, literally the end of the earth, I think.
Yeah.
And just gotta make it work. Most of our shows are at 6 a.m. in the morning, sometimes 5 a.m.
Hmm.
Depends. Depends on where you live and what time our guests can join us. So it's been a very interesting start of the segment for us. Fantastic and great to have you.
Oh, my pleasure, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're just waiting for a few more people to join. Can you recognize the tune?
I can. That's Kes.
Uh, Aha, that's what people love this.
Yeah, I was home in Trinidad and Tobago last year for Carnival, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with Carnival, but the song that's played the most during the Carnival time while you're parading on the streets, it's called the Road March. And this song, everybody wanted it to win, and it didn't win. So there was all this controversy about it and stuff like that. Thing is,
Oh,
though, this year he had another song with another artist, and they did end up winning with another song. But this one is going to go down as a classic for sure.
absolutely. People love this song. I've used it a few times. I've had a few guests from the Caribbean join me, and they
Mhm.
absolutely love the song. So there must be something about it that just resonates with the culture.
I think it's one of those things where if you listen to the words and you've ever played carnival or been part of carnival and stuff like that, you
Hmm.
understand what he's talking about.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it just
honestly.
resonates. And it has a
True.
good tempo as well too. Kes is a
Oh,
boss, man.
yeah, I love it. At 6 a.m. in the morning, it's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, Chris, and welcome everyone to the very first segment of People in Country. Spending it. Yeah. So we've got a great guest for you today. Chris Del La Rosa is a Caribbean superstar when it comes to food and culture. We've been following him for a while now. Love his recipes and his work, and I've listened to him very recently on one of Trinidad's YouTube stars to Natasha Lappin, who I
Yeah.
interviewed. Loved that interview, and I think you're doing a lot of interviews these days, Chris, with other individuals as well, just talking about food and culture.
It came about. I was fortunate to appear on Jillionaire. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jillionaire, but he had me on his program, and we were talking about all the noise that's out there and the lack of good content. So I'm thinking, wait, I have quite a few friends that I've made over through the years who are doing really exceptional work, and I just wanted to bring it to the forefront a bit and have conversations with them. So what I've done a full week this past week, gone there, a full week of it, and I'm having fun. I love doing this kind of stuff.
Oh, it's fantastic. We've listened actually to your conversations, and the more we listen, the more we get educated. And I think that's one of the things you're putting together as well, just educating people on what Caribbean culture is or is not. We all have perceptions,
Yeah.
um, and it's just correcting the narrative, I think, in very many ways.
Well, two things I like highlight. The goal is two things: to educate and to sort of preserve or curate the culture as well, because we have people who don't know anything about the culture, who are just learning about it from a culinary standpoint and everything else. And then you have those who are born into the culture, but outside of the Caribbean, and they're not as familiar with how strong roots we have. So I'm trying to curate that as well too for them. And this all came about because of my daughters. They're Canadian, but you look at how they eat, how they act, how they dress, how they speak, everything. It has that sort of Caribbean swagger to them, and I want them
Fantastic.
when someone questions them about it, they're able to talk about it with pride as well too.
Oh, yeah. And I hold that thought. We're going to come back to that question a bit
Yeah,
later.
certainly.
Um, just as an introduction to yourself, you are largely self-taught in your culinary skills. Is it a family uh, cooking passion? Is it just something that you took on board? How did your own passion for cooking come about?
I think I've always been. I love to eat, and you can tell by my size. I'm a big boy. I love to eat. So when you when you love to eat, you got to learn how to cook, or you got to be rich and do the whole Uber Eats thing.
True.
I always sort of, I never really spent a lot of time in the kitchen, but I was very inquisitive growing up. So I would always peek in on what my mom is doing, what my dad is doing, what my grandma is doing. And after I moved to Canada, you have to kind of fend for yourself. My parents were no longer here. I lived with my aunt. She was working 2 jobs, typical immigrant story. And her kids were home. I lived with them. So we had no choice but to cook. So from memory, I started cooking, trial and error, did my thing. And then that took off. And then I ended up with a couple sort of cookbooks I created with just hand notes. And I started working for one of the biggest convention sort of centers here where they have weddings and all these different things. And I work back at the house, front of the house. So I kind of learned some of the cooking from there as well, too. More North American and Italian food. But for the most part, yeah, it has been that sort of trial and error, that sort of calling mommy, calling daddy. My aunt had a big part to play in it as well, too, in the whole learning curve.
Mm-hmm. So we have a comment that you're Mr. Jamaican Sunshine himself. So what about
something?
Oh, absolutely. Now we're talking about food and culture here today, Caribbean food and culture in particular. Let's start with your own family history. How did your family end up in Trinidad and Tobago? Give us some family history.
That is a tough one to answer because you look at my last name, De La Rosa, and it's
good.
Yeah, I was saying that you trace back my family last name, and it's to the Basque region in Spain. I did a DNA test about 1.5 years ago, and it turns out I am of 67% Indian, like what was that, South Asian, I guess.
Fantastic.
I have West African in me. I have, and the two that really stood out, they found traces of Finland and Japan in my background. I don't know, but you would notice that a lot of the curries and everything, it is directly because of after slavery was over, indentured laborers came to the Caribbean to facilitate the sugarcane industry, to work as to cut the cane and harvest and all that stuff like that. So I guess on my mom's side, I get that sort of culinary thing from, and then on my dad's side, you will see a lot of the sort of African twist, that sort of influence from Africa. And then, the thing about food in the Caribbean is that not only is it a direct representation of the native people, like the Caribs, the Arawaks, the Tianos, and all of those, but at some point or the other, we were colonized by the French, the Spanish, the Dutch, the British, just about everybody. And then you bring in all the slaves from West Africa, and you have that influence. After slavery was over, we have the Chinese and the Indians. That sort of inspired things as well, too. And then for about 125 years now, we've had people from like Lebanon and Syria and all the other places coming to the Caribbean. The Portuguese, you look at Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, there's a lot of people with Portuguese last name and stuff like that, because again, we were colonized with them at one point or the other, right? So you mix all those things, and what I like to tell people is that we didn't necessarily steal stuff. We just made it better. That's all we did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of our viewers, Sweet Tooth Vani, says she's made your fried rice today. So how would you describe Caribbean cuisine? You've mentioned it's lots of influences from different cultures.
It does. You can definitely see the influence from all the different cultures, especially, as I said, the 3 main ones, West African, Chinese, and Indian. But I think over the years, and the more I travel back, and I try to go back to the Caribbean 2-3 times a year, if I can get back there more often, I do that. You're seeing that we're starting to create our own culinary cultural sort of identity by some of the things that's coming about from this. You look at jerk chicken, you look something like doubles in Trinidad. That's something uniquely Trinidad and Tobago. You look at jerk chicken, that's something uniquely, kind of uniquely Jamaican, because we've got it throughout the Caribbean as well. But there's so many different things. You look at the way we cook our curries, the way we cook our, you talked about the fried rice. It's funny, I get a lot of comments, good and bad, for that fried rice, because you click on the link, it's the #1 video for vegetarian fried rice on YouTube. and there is this kind of black looking, kind of Indian looking kind of guy that it's not what you're thinking. You're expecting to see a Chinese person do it, right? So
Absolutely.
the influence is everywhere. But we are creating that sort of identity as well. The problem we're running into in the Caribbean is the fast food influence from North America. It is just taking over.
So actually, one of our viewers is learning from this conversation. She said, as I'm sorry to pronounce, radio interview of yours that you did a few years ago now, but still so relevant in content. And you said, well, you know, we're talking about farm to table, and it's a big thing right now. But actually, the Caribbean has always been farm to table. You know, there's no such thing as an organic mango, you said. So tell us a little bit about this farm to table concept in the everyday life of Caribbean culture.
As I know it, growing up on the islands, I remember whatever produce my mom would cook for us, it was day old. It didn't come from a grocery store. It didn't come from anywhere else but some guy down the street. Maybe it's our backyard because we had a kitchen garden. And everything, as I knew it when I was growing up, was organic. There was no like cool word to call it organic or farm to table or anything like that. You know, you hear people use the term buy local, support your local farmers, and all these different sort of trigger words that restaurants use these days. That's all we knew in the Caribbean. That's all I knew growing up in the Caribbean. That's nothing. The concept is not new to me at all. I knew the guy where my mom would buy the pork from. I knew the fisherman who would go get it down at the ocean, bring it back, go through the village and sell it. I knew on Sunday mornings, the kid would come down the road with a big basket with cucumbers and lettuce, and that's where our salad for lunch, the biggest meal in Trinidad and Tobago on a Sunday, is lunch. We would watch that, and we had no choice because there were 2 TV stations, and both stations played Bollywood movies at 1 p.m. So we would have that big lunch ready, watch Bollywood movies, and I knew where that cucumber and the watercress and the lettuce and everything came from. The chicken that my mom would cook, maybe half a mile down the street, kind of thing.
Well, Chris, I think a lot of people now just found out you watched Bollywood movies, and I think you're not going to live that one down for sure. But we're a fan. I mean, it's certainly, it's culture, it's rich in culture, so you know, no doubt about that. One of the recipes that I love of yours, and I said this to you very briefly, is dumplings.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love about it is that here in Australia, around the nearby islands are Fiji and Vanuatu, and actually cassava is one of the main ingredients for those islands as well. Do you think that around the islands, just around the world, there's similarities in produce? Because we see very similar ingredients being used across different islands. So whether it's Caribbean or Oceania, you know, the ingredients tend to be the same. Like cassava is also used in the Caribbean as well. So do you see similarities amongst the various islands in terms of recipes and ingredients?
Very much so. You know, I think it was about 3 years ago, I started a conversation with someone from Fiji. And it's after I posted a breadfruit pie recipe, and we started talking on how breadfruit got to the Caribbean. It came to the Caribbean as slave food. We never got into the conversation about cassava, which a lot of people call manioc as well too. But definitely, I think it has to do with the climate as well too, because when you have that tropical climate, you tend to have the same sort of fruits, the same sort of vegetables, the same sort of ground provisions and stuff like that. And the thing is, there are slight nuances in the way we prepare it, but for the most part, the whole goal is to take something and make it delicious on the table. And, you know, I've had conversations with people from Hawaii, for instance, and what they call taro, we call dasheen in the Caribbean. And they make something totally different from it. We treat it differently, but it's amazing how we take the same thing, treat it a little bit differently, and how the end product is different as well too. What other sort of islands have I? You know, I'm a huge fan of down South Australia. What's that? Tasmania, is it? Down there. The thing about Fiji, I learned as well too. There were a lot of people from mainland India that went there one way or the other. I don't know if it's as indentured laborers or just from immigration and stuff like that. So you would find a resemblance to some of the recipes coming out of the Caribbean as well as there.
Yeah, fantastic. Now we've got 1 minute to go.
Yeah.
The conversation's gone far too quickly. If you want to see Chris back on People and Country, please let us know. We'd love to have him for a second round of conversations.
Definitely,
It's
and I'm
been so
always
interesting.
open.
Definitely. So maybe
Yeah, so quite a few in the audience are agreeing about farm to table is best, like Gita Lakshman. What would you say to people who don't really have the time and feel that fresh food it takes too much of time to prepare?
Well, here's the thing about that. There is nothing wrong when you get it fresh to immediately prepare it and freeze it. Like, for instance, you know, we eat seasonally in the Caribbean, and I'm a huge open opponent to that, because I think you look at in Canada, when it's strawberry season, we go harvest it, wash it, dry it, boom, cut it, freeze it. When we're ready to make shakes, when we're ready to put it into any sort of jams and stuff like that, you take it out of the freezer. So there's no reason why, when you do have that time and it is in abundance and it is in season, we can treat it like that. And there's no other reason, no reason why we can't also dehydrate as well too. I just did dehydrated peppers for the first time, and the flavor is just incredible, incredible. And there's no reason why we can't be doing that. So if you can't do it directly farm to table, you can kind of mimic it when it is in season.
fantastic. Now we've got lots of comments saying we want to see more of Chris. Definitely, we'll schedule that. Don't you worry. We're listening to all of the comments. This has been a great conversation, Chris. We have to end. Our 20 minutes is up. But thank you so much for giving us the time. We don't take your work lightly. We really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for joining us today and for this great conversation. You've taught us a lot. We've only just started our YouTube channel, so we're definitely going to be watching you close and what you do and do our best with our own content.
Thank you guys so much for having me. You ladies enjoy the rest of your day. Your day is just starting. I think I'm gonna go live now on Instagram, on Facebook, and do a curry shrimp. You have me go with this whole Indian thing. I'm going to do some Indian now.
Go for it. Thank you,
You
Chris.
ladies have a great day.
Thanks for joining us.